the video and subscribe to the channel. Our battle will be legendary. This day started like any other. The city was waking up, and Dobie and I were going through the morning reports. But soon, the peace was broken by a call. The dispatcher's voice was tense. There were reports of strange events at the central hospital. Patients were disappearing. Nurses spoke of a mysterious sheriff who had taken control of the institution. And the strangest part, this sheriff looked exactly like me. Dobie and I exchanged glances. This couldn't be a coincidence. I had heard stories about doppelgangers, but I never thought I would encounter one myself. We got into the car and headed to the hospital.
When we arrived, the hospital looked deserted. The large glass doors were locked, and behind them, we could only see dim, flickering lights. No patients, no staff, as if the whole place had been abandoned. Posters with Labrador's face hung on the walls, but something was off about them. His eyes looked cold, and his smile menacing. We cautiously stepped inside. The hallways were dark, the lights flickered, and the air smelled of chemicals. Cameras were everywhere, watching our every move. We had to figure out what was going on.
We moved forward carefully, scanning our surroundings. I could feel that we were being watched. Suddenly, a nurse appeared from around the corner. He looked terrified and whispered that we had to leave while we still could. According to him, the other sheriff had locked all the patients and staff in the basement and had taken over the main office. This was a challenge we couldn't ignore. We headed for the staircase leading down, but as soon as we opened the door, the sound of footsteps filled the corridor. Several guards in black uniforms with patches bearing my own emblem emerged from the shadows. They didn't look friendly.
We knew there would be no talking our way out of this. The guards lunged at us, but we were ready. Labrador threw his baton at one of them, while I used my strength to shove another straight into the wall. The rest hesitated, giving us the chance to break through to the basement. We rushed down the narrow stairs. The air grew heavier. It smelled of age and metal. Rusty pipes lined the walls. Water dripped from the ceiling. Soon, we reached a locked door. Behind it, we heard muffled voices. People were inside.
The door was secured with a massive lock. I glanced around and spotted a toolbox. Grabbing a crowbar, I swung hard at the lock. It gave way with a screech. The door burst open, revealing dozens of frightened but unharmed patients and doctors. They ran toward us, begging to be saved from the false sheriff. I told them to stay put until we dealt with the main threat. We had to find my double.
We climbed to the top floor, where the main office was located. The door was slightly ajar, and we stepped inside. There, in the center of the spacious office, stood my partner's evil twin. He looked exactly like Labrador, except for his eyes. They were dark, lifeless, like empty voids. A strange badge hung from his chest, glowing with a faint red light. He looked at us and smiled. We realized this wasn't just an imposter. This was something inhuman. He didn't speak, but his gaze made it clear he wouldn't let us leave so easily.
He attacked! I barely managed to dodge as his paw slammed into the desk, leaving a deep dent. This me was stronger than any ordinary beast. Dobie tried to sneak up behind him, but with a single motion, the doppelganger flung him aside. I had to find a way to stop him. I noticed that the badge on his chest glowed brighter whenever he attacked. Maybe that was the source of his power.
I understood what Labrador was thinking. We had to remove that badge. I lunged forward, pretending to go for his face, while Labrador leaped from above, grabbed the badge, and yanked it with all his strength. A dull crack echoed through the room. The false sheriff froze. Then his body began to tremble. Awareness flickered in his eyes before he simply dissolved into the air, leaving behind only the metallic badge, now dull and lifeless.
As soon as he vanished, the hospital began to change. The lights brightened, the cameras stopped tracking us, and the eerie silence was replaced by the sounds of voices. We knew the spell or technology that kept people in fear had been broken. Doctors and patients emerged from the basement, cautiously looking around. They were free. We knew it was over.
Once everything calmed down, we stepped outside. The sky was already lightening. Night was over. I looked at Labrador and smirked. We had seen a lot, but nothing like this before. But before we could get into the car, a new call came in. The dispatcher reported strange occurrences happening in the city again. We exchanged glances and started the engine.
The corridor trembled with each impact. Every door concealed the unknown. and we had no idea where the next attack would come from. The lights flickered, strange noises echoed from the ventilation shafts, and the scent of antiseptic mixed with something far more sinister. I could feel it. My doppelganger was toying with us, luring us into a trap. We reached the operating room. The massive metal doors slid open slowly, revealing a chamber filled with surgical instruments hanging from the ceiling and tables draped in dusty sheets. And in the center of it all, he stood, my dark reflection, wearing a twisted grin and staring with cold, empty eyes. He didn't attack immediately. He was waiting, savoring our hesitation. That's when I realized this wasn't just a copy. He could read my thoughts, anticipate my every move. This was me, stripped of conscience, devoid of principles, without mercy.
I saw Labrador freeze for a moment, assessing the situation. The double looked just like him, but something was deeply wrong. He moved like a shadow, his presence felt unnatural, and when he spoke, his voice seemed to pierce through the air itself. And then he struck. His movements were lightning fast, his attacks precise. I tried to intervene, but he dodged effortlessly, predicting my every action. It felt like a nightmare, the kind where your enemy is always faster, always ahead. We tried every technique we knew, but he countered them with ease, as if he had already seen the battle play out in his mind. The only way to win was to outsmart him, to make him believe in a false move.
I feigned exhaustion, letting my body slump as if I were giving up. For just 1 second, he smirked. And that was all we needed. At that moment, Dobie lunged forward, grabbing a surgical lamp and blasting him with blinding light. My double flinched, his expression shifting from arrogance to pure terror. That was my chance. I struck hard, and he staggered back, his eyes widening as he realized he had lost. A horrible screech filled the room as his body began to dissolve, leaving only a flickering outline of his former self. The hospital trembled as if reality itself was collapsing. We barely made it outside before the entire building shuddered and started to fade away. It had all been an illusion, a construct of darkness. But now it was gone.
When it was over, I turned to look at Labrador. He was exhausted, but victorious. We had won. Another day, another rescue. But as we walked away, a chill crept up my spine. For a split second, in the reflection of the hospital's glass doors, I swore I saw him.
As we stepped outside, the hospital behind us began to vanish, dissolving like mist into the night air. It felt like waking from a nightmare that had finally ended. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Dobie patted me on the shoulder, a silent confirmation that we had done everything we could. But something gnawed at me. I knew my double was gone, but was he truly gone? His smirk, his movements, they had been too real to simply disappear. Questions swirled in my mind, but for now, there were no answers.
I glanced around. The city carried on as usual, unaware that just moments ago, we had battled an entity that could have destroyed not only us, but the very fabric of reality itself. I wanted to say something reassuring, but before I could, the dispatcher's voice crackled over the radio. Another call, another nightmare. I sighed, exchanging a knowing look with Labrador. Looked like rest wasn't in our near future. We jumped into the car and headed toward the next anomaly.
I drove through the dark city streets, but my thoughts kept drifting back to the hospital. In the rearview mirror, for a brief moment, I saw a familiar face. My face, but with that same sinister smirk. I blinked quickly, and it disappeared. I wasn't sure if it was just exhaustion or something more. Maybe my double hadn't disappeared completely. Maybe he was just lying in wait, biding his time to return.
When we arrived at the next call, the dark building of the city library loomed before us, shrouded in thick fog.
Hello, friends. This is Sheriff Labrador and my faithful partner, Sheriff Dobie.
Hi, guys. Today we have something special for you. We are diving into the world of Roblox and playing the Escape Funnies Toy Shop mode.
In this mode, our main task is to escape from the creepy toy store, but it will be harder than it seems.
We'll have to hide and run from the terrifying toy that wants to trap us in its world.
Friends, hold on tight because it's going to be both fun and scary.
In this mode, we have 6 tough challenges, each testing our skills to the limit. We might even face the main toy boss at the end. It sounds frightening and exciting, but we can handle it because we are a team. We just turned on the lights to see better, and now we are heading into the ominous tunnel to find the exit.
This tunnel looks really spooky. I hope we don't encounter many traps.
The main thing is to be careful and stick together. Friends, keep your fingers crossed for us. A real challenge lies ahead.
What are these tracks? Some monster sneaked into the ventilation and left its tracks here. Maybe we could crawl through there and find the exit right away. But the vent is closed. We'll have to go through this creepy tunnel with broken pipes. Dobie, are you afraid to jump through this hot air?
No, I'm not afraid. Do you think I'm a coward? We've gone through many scary modes together. I'm almost used to them. By the way, it's better not to look down right now. Wait, do you hear that? Or is it just me?
I don't hear anything. We've encountered a real challenge. A scary maze, guys. This maze is not only complicated, but also full of dangers. A huge, terrifying toy will chase us if we don't find the exit in time. It will turn us into its toys.
This challenge will require our maximum mental and physical strength. The maze is huge, and we must be very careful to find the exit as quickly as possible. But don't worry, Labrador and I will guide you. And remember, friends,
this is just the first challenge in this mode. Ahead of us are many difficulties and puzzles. We must be ready for anything and never give up.
Hey, Labrador, this parkour is really tough. It seems we are facing the hardest challenges in this mode.
Indeed, Dobie, but this is just the beginning. We have a lot more ahead of us. By the way, do you remember what our friends said about the next challenge?
Oh, yes. They mentioned something about red and green colors. They said it's one of the most interesting challenges here. We need to be ready for anything.
I remember they said these colors are related to choosing a path or solving puzzles. We need to be alert and use our brains.
Exactly, Labrador. Let's leave the parkour behind and get ready for the next challenge. Remember, teamwork and attentiveness are our best allies here.
Absolutely, Dobie. Let's move forward. New challenges await us, and we must prove that sheriffs are not easily broken. Green light. Run, Labrador. Oh, wait, red light. Stop and don't move. Green light. Run, Dobie. Run. Just a bit more. You can do it. Oh no, stop, red light. No way out, or as they say. Or as...
Labrador, I almost lost because of you. Is something wrong with your reactions? The green light was on, and you only mentioned the red. Do you not know the difference between green and red?
Ha ha. Sorry, Dobie. I got a bit confused. Next time I'll pay more attention to the signals. Don't worry. I'll react faster in the next challenge.
We've passed the second challenge of this strange living toy, and now we just need to climb up and start the third challenge. Honestly, I thought it would be easier. This is the hardest challenge for us.
You're right. I hope you guys are subscribing to our channel and liking our efforts. These challenges are really tough, but the third challenge will be 100 times harder. I doubt our friend told the truth.
Hey, Labrador, look what's ahead. Our task is to climb this tower of toy blocks before this Titan toy robot catches and crushes us. Okay, Labrador, let's look at our options. These columns of blocks can be our cover. We can run between them to avoid the robot's grasp.
Great idea, Dobie. We can also use these toy blocks to slow down its movement. Throw them at its feet to create obstacles and gain valuable seconds.
Right, Labrador. And don't forget about teamwork. Coordinate our actions. One of us distracts the robot while the other circles the edge of the tower. This way, we can split its attention and gain more time.
Exactly, Dobie. Let's get to it. Let's show this robot who the real sheriffs are. Stick to the plan, and we'll definitely succeed.
Only 6 seconds left. I'm sure we can survive. If not, Labrador, you were the best friend I've ever had. Hooray! We managed to outsmart the Titan robot. Honestly, it was pretty dumb. Just a clumsy piece of metal destroying everything in its path.
I think we shouldn't have opened this door. It's really creepy here. It looks like the place where we need to find an exit and escape from the main character of this mode. Wish us luck, subscribers.
Hey, Labrador, look who's chasing us now. It's a living toy, and it's after us through this abandoned toy warehouse. We need to keep moving and not let it catch us, or we'll be its next victims.
Wow, Dobie, this is really terrifying. Let's use our knowledge and experience to get out of this situation. We must find a way to dodge it.
I see a machine ahead. Could it be an escape route? No, it doesn't look like it. There's lava down there. How is there lava in a toy store? Some monster must have created it while we were driving.
I wanted to tell you something yesterday. We received a call from the toy store owner. He said toys started disappearing, and all the surveillance cameras were turned off. This prompted Dobby and me to immediately head to the scene.
Yes, Labrador is right. When we arrived, the store seemed empty and abandoned, with toys and plush animals scattered everywhere.
We started the investigation and found Mr. and Mrs. Squirrel hiding in the far corner of the store. It turned out they were taking the toys, thinking they were for their children.
When we asked them why they didn't use the surveillance cameras, they said they didn't know how to turn them on and were just trying to do something nice for their kids.
In the end, we cleared things up and suggested they visit the store during business hours to buy toys. They apologized for the inconvenience and promised not to take anything without permission again.
So friends, sometimes mysterious disappearances aren't about dark forces. Sometimes it's just parents trying to make their kids' lives brighter.
It seems we've been through a lot, but now the fourth challenge awaits us, which turns out to be a real test.
Yes, Labrador, this challenge is like games such as Mario. We need to run and jump, avoiding traps and collecting everything that can help us stop the giant head of this living toy that is trying to catch and eat us.
Now Dobby and I found ourselves in a world reminiscent of classic Mario in 2D. We started on a platform surrounded by green pipes and brick blocks, but the real excitement was ahead. We were being chased by a giant toy head. We had to jump and collect bombs to slow it down.
Exactly, Labrador. These platform jumps are quite the challenge. It feels like being a puppy again, trying to reach high shelves. And those bombs are a real treasure. Throw one, and the head slows down, giving us a chance to run further. Great job, Labrador. We're almost at the finish, friends. And who would have thought that simply escaping from a toy head could be so exciting?
Here we are in the ventilation system, friends, or almost there. We've already made it halfway, and honestly, I'm a little worried. These pipes look like they haven't been cleaned in ages. And the air here, it's not the freshest. But we can't stop now. We need to keep going to get out of this toy store. Who would have thought that toys could be so dangerous?
You're right, Labrador. And these rusty pipes? It smells like an old basement, but it seems like we're no strangers to tough tasks. These old abandoned toys scattered through the sewers are staring at us with their empty eyes. They're definitely not happy to see us, so we need to be careful and stay alert.
We made it through that sewer, and I have no idea how we managed to escape. The toys tried to grab us. Oh, Dobby, look, it's game number 5.
It kind of reminds me of some game, or maybe it's just me. What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments.
What a challenge. Dobby and I are back in the toy store, and now we have to jump on platforms that are about to start falling. As soon as they turn red, we need to get off, or we're in trouble. Honestly, I'm a bit nervous because these platforms are so slippery that you barely have time to react.
Yeah, Labrador, these platforms are a real headache. You barely land on one before it starts glowing red. It feels like a game of cat and mouse. You almost made it, but it's about to disappear beneath your feet. Of course, we're sheriffs, but here we really need to be extra careful. I even joked a few times that if I fall, I'll land on a soft toy. Whew, we barely made it through this level. What's next? Is this the end?
This toy train looks extremely suspicious. I doubt the exit is here, but we have no other choice. Settle in, Dobby. We're in for a long ride.
Let's go, Sheriff Labrador. I hope we don't encounter any screamers along the way and everything goes smoothly. Oh no, it was a trap.
What do we do now? We're falling straight down. We're going to crash, Sheriff Labrador.
Are you here? I see the final arena.
Yes, I'm here. It looks like this is the final challenge. Oh, wait. It's that same living toy in a robo-suit. How do we deal with it, guys? We're facing the main boss, a toy robot threatening us with lasers and a giant metal structure.
Yes, Labrador. This robot means business. It's firing all its weapons and trying to crush us with its huge feet.
But we won't give up. To defeat this boss, we need to aim for its weak spot, the legs. We have rocket launchers and we need to hit them directly.
Let's act quickly and in sync. Labrador, you take the rocket launcher on the right, I'll take the left. Let's focus fire on its legs while we have the chance. Watch how it opens the vents on its legs.
Now's our chance to attack. Launch the rockets.
Great shot, Labrador. We damaged its leg. Just a bit more and we'll have it.
The boss is getting more aggressive. Watch out. Dodge the lasers and keep attacking its legs.
Another rocket hit the mark. The leg is starting to smoke. We're almost there.
We're on the home stretch. We'll defeat this evil robot. Hooray! We managed to destroy it. They didn't call me Diamond Eye at the Sheriff Academy for nothing. I'm a really good shot. Now we just need to find the way out of here, guys.
You're all the best. You helped us defeat this toy robot. I hope we really won and this isn't another trap.
Guys, help us! Quickly like the video, leave a comment, and watch it until the end, or we might fall straight into the lava.
Hello, everyone. Imagine you're stuck in an abandoned pizzeria where danger lurks at every turn. The main goal is to escape this creepy place. But be careful. The terrifying chef Papa Pizza is on your trail, cooking up his horrible dishes from human parts. Yes, you heard that right. This will be a true test of your agility and wits.
Welcome to our channel, friends. It's your sheriff's Labrador and my trusty partner Dobie back with you again. Today we have something special. We are embarking on an exciting adventure in a Roblox mode called Escape from Papa Pizza's Pizzeria. Dobie, tell everyone what challenges they'll face.
Oh yes, guys. You'll face puzzles, traps, and the need to quickly run away from this crazy chef. But don't worry, Labrador and I will be there to help you every step of the way.
Ready for an incredible adventure? Then get comfortable, gather your courage, and let's see if we can escape Papa Pizza's Pizzeria together.
Oh no, Labrador, where's the light? It seems Papa Pizza is after us. Hide, Labrador. We need to act quickly and precisely because Papa Pizza is right on our heels.
Oh, guys, he's right behind us. Do you see those scary eyes and that creepy apron? Papa Pizza is cooking his horrible dishes and wants to add us to the menu. We need to find a way out urgently.
Exactly, Labrador. Listen carefully, guys. To save ourselves, we need to find a hole in the floor and jump into it. It's our only chance to escape this crazy chef. Let's move quickly. We don't have much time.
We did it, guys. We're safe for now, but stay alert. There are always new challenges ahead in this game.
Thanks for being with us, and until the next adventure. Whew, that was scary, but we made it. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and leave comments about what modes you'd like to see next. And now we are...
Yes, in the stinky sewers. Oh, the smell here is terrible. But we have no choice, guys. To get out of here, we need to climb through a hatch. The problem is, Papa Pizza is waiting for us up there.
Exactly, Labrador. The hatch leads directly to the bathroom, and Papa Pizza is already there, ready to catch us. But we have a plan. First, we need to find the hatch and climb up carefully. Then we'll try to outsmart him.
I see the hatch ahead. Be careful and watch your step to avoid traps. Dobie, do you think we can outsmart Papa Pizza?
Of course, Labrador. We need to be smarter and faster. Guys, as soon as we climb through the hatch, be ready to act quickly. We need to figure out how to bypass Papa Pizza and escape.
Let's try. Here's the hatch. I see it. Is everyone ready? Climb carefully and quietly. Just like that. We're almost there.
Oh no, he's here! Run, guys, faster! We need to find a way out of this bathroom and avoid Papa Pizza. Labrador, where to next?
We got through that scary web. But how did Papa Pizza turn into Papa Spider? Oh no, we stepped on a spike. We'll have to start over.
Now we're navigating through a spiked trap. We have to be very careful not to get caught in them.
Yes, Dobie, this is definitely not a place you want to get stuck. Watch your step, guys, and stay away from those menacing spikes. We can handle this together. Stay close.
After this trap, another challenge awaits us. We'll have to do parkour over old pipes that could collapse at any moment. Be careful, guys, and help each other out.
Once this was an excellent establishment where all the animals of the city came for the best pizza. But something happened, and now Papa Pizza has closed his pizzeria and become incredibly evil. They say his secret recipe was stolen, and since then, he lost all interest in cooking. We're here to find out what happened and try to escape this creepy place.
Yes, Labrador, you're right. This place is filled with an atmosphere of eerie abandonment. Papa Pizza was famous for his recipes, but after the theft, he completely changed. Now the pizzeria is not a place of joy, but a labyrinth full of dangers. We must be careful. We just passed by the kitchen, and there was a huge pile of dough, as if Papa Pizza was trying to recreate his recipes, but failed. He couldn't make that magical pizza anymore.
We've seen how the pizzas turned into real traps. Remember that giant pizza that fell from the ceiling right in front of us? That's definitely not the pizza we're used to seeing. Papa Pizza has set up many traps here to make sure no one can escape. At one point, it seemed to me that he was wandering these corridors himself, guarding his lost empire.
Yes, this pizzeria has turned into a real nightmare. We went through the kitchen, and there were pizzas with teeth. Something incredible. And those pizza boxes that open and try to grab you certainly don't add any confidence. Papa Pizza clearly doesn't want anyone to get out of here alive. His malice has soaked every corner of this place.
Now we've reached the main hall and everything is turned upside down. Broken tables and chairs, scattered ingredients. Everything indicates that a real chaos happened here. Papa Pizza, losing his secret recipe, transformed from a kind chef into a real monster. We have only one option left. Find a way out of this madness and try to restore the pizzeria's former glory.
I agree, Labrador. We've overcome many challenges, but the most important one is ahead. Papa Pizza may be evil, but we've proven time and again that we can handle any difficulties. Let's keep moving to escape this place and perhaps help Papa Pizza find his former self.
Friends, I want to share a very secret story with you. It all started when we received several strange reports from the residents. They claimed they had seen a living pizza that moved on its own and seemed to have its own plans. At first, we thought it was a joke, but when the number of reports increased, it became clear that something unusual was going on. Dobie and I decided to check out these reports and went to the location where the most calls were coming from.
When we arrived at the scene, we were greeted by frightened residents pointing to Papa Pizza's pizzeria. It looked normal, but something was off. We cautiously entered and immediately noticed unusual tomato sauce marks on the floor. We followed these marks and ended up in a storeroom where we were in for a real surprise. There was a huge living pizza moving around and making strange noises. We realized it wasn't just alive, but also aggressive.
It turned out that this living pizza was the result of an experiment gone wrong by Papa Pizza. He had wanted to create the most delicious and unique pizza in the world by adding rare ingredients and a special magical seasoning to his recipe. But something went wrong, and the pizza gained its own consciousness and the ability to move. Moreover, it decided that it could become the ruler of the city and take control. Dobie and I realized we needed to act quickly to stop it.
We began to devise a plan to neutralize the living pizza. It was important not only to stop it, but also to ensure that something like this wouldn't happen again. We remembered that the magical seasoning could be neutralized by adding certain ingredients to the pizza. In search of these ingredients, we turned to our friends in the city, and soon we had everything we needed. The hardest part was getting close to the pizza to add the ingredients, but our teamwork and determination helped us succeed.
After several attempts, we managed to neutralize the living pizza. It lost its movement and became just an ordinary pizza. We returned it to Papa Pizza and explained what had happened. He was shocked and promised not to use magical ingredients again. The city regained its peace, and all the residents were grateful for our rescue.
This story was an important lesson for us about how experiments can be dangerous if you don't know when to stop. We realized that our job is not just to protect the city from external threats, but also to prevent internal problems. From now on, we will always be more careful with any unusual events so that such incidents won't happen again.
We finally made it out of that pizzeria. These challenges were pure hell. Pizzas with trap flavors, trampolines throwing us into endless nightmares. But now, even more adventures await us. The forest. And it seems Papa Pizza hasn't forgotten about us. He's still on our tail. We need to find a way out through these dark trees, or we'll end up in his clutches forever.
This forest is really creepy, Labrador. It's as dark as a basement, and I can hear something rustling in the bushes. We've survived the pizzeria traps, but this will be even harder. The key is finding those trash bins with fences. I'm sure that's our only chance to escape. We need to climb, jump, and then we'll be able to get away from Papa Pizza.
Do you hear that? It's him! Papa Pizza won't back down. He's chasing us, and we need to move fast. Those trash bins with fences are our way out. But no matter how hard we try, this forest feels endless. We'll have to jump and hope that the next trash bin is the one that will lead us out.
No shadow or sound will stop us, Labrador. We've already gone through the horrors of the pizzeria, so this forest is just another obstacle on the road to freedom. The key is not to lose our heads. We're almost there. Let's jump over the fence and break free from this forest like real sheriffs.
Here it is, the spot. We're at the last trash bin. This is our chance, Dobie. We need to jump straight into the darkness, but I believe there's an exit there. Let's go.
We did it, Labrador. Just a few more steps, and we're safe. Papa Pizza didn't catch us, which means we're free again. See you soon, friends.
Here we are, friends. The pizzeria is behind us, and the forest too. We've gone through all these trials, and despite Papa Pizza trying to catch us, we broke free. I hope you enjoyed our adventure and didn't forget about us while we were running away from that giant pizza. Hello friends, it's me, Sheriff Labrador, and today we're taking on a series of challenges together with my friend Dobie.
Hey everyone! Yeah, just like Labrador said, we're playing a challenge map in Roblox. The mode is called Escape from the Dungeon.
Our first challenge is parkour on barrels over a huge lava pit. Dobie, are you ready?
Yes, Labrador, I'm ready. Phew, we made it through this challenge. Now we move on to the next one. We have to jump across wooden planks, but the most important thing is not to fall.
Dobie, how do you like this mode? I really enjoy it. The harder the challenges, the more I start loving this game.
I agree, Labrador. This map is amazing. Very well designed and detailed.
Let's move on to the next challenge. We have to run under giant spikes in time. If we don't make it, we lose.
Labrador, this is terrifying. One wrong step and it's game over.
Don't worry, Dobie. We'll get through it for sure.
We did it, Labrador, but we can't relax. There are even harder challenges ahead.
Now we're climbing up a ladder and entering a strange room filled with chests. We need to open them all and find the key to the door.
Oh, Labrador! We have to find the key to escape from this scary room.
I've opened so many chests, but still no key. Dobie, how about you?
Labrador, come here. I found the key.
Hooray, we're out!
On the next level, there are invisible traps under our feet. Labrador, we have to get through this level on our first try.
We're slowly making our way through, carefully jumping over the invisible traps.
Yes, we cleared this level on the first try. Teamwork makes anything possible.
Now we have to climb down giant wooden beams, but we can't fall. There's poisonous water below, and if we fall, we lose.
I agree, Labrador. We can't afford to lose now.
Dobie, we're so close to beating this level.
Yes, Labrador. We're almost there, and we did it. We're moving on to the next challenge. Let's grab the checkpoint. Up next is parkour on rocks, but if we fall, we'll get crushed and lose.
Oh no, Dobie, we fell. Is this the end?
Don't worry, Labrador. That's why we took the checkpoint. We have another chance.
Yes, we did it, and we're moving forward.
We finished the parkour, and a boulder pushed us straight into the next challenge.
Now we have to jump from rock to rock at super speed. Below us is a huge sea of acid. If we fall, we lose.
Phew, Labrador, we made it through this level.
The day started as usual, with a strong cup of coffee and another morning briefing. I was going through reports when my radio suddenly blared with an urgent alarm. The dispatcher's voice was shaking. Something unimaginable had happened at the Rainbow Meadow Kindergarten. Eyewitnesses reported that a giant dragon had suddenly appeared in the center of the building and was now holding it under siege. Inside were teachers and children. Dobie had just entered the station holding a box of donuts in his paws, but as soon as he heard the call, he set it aside immediately. This was an emergency.
When we arrived at the scene, we were met with a sight straight out of a fantasy movie. The dragon, massive, covered in green scales with enormous wings and eyes that burned like embers, was perched on the roof of the building. Its tail slowly moved, breaking apart the wooden fence of the playground, while its clawed paws gripped the chimney. Panic-stricken adults ran in all directions. Fire had already spread to the top floor, and we knew there was no time to waste.
The first thing we needed to do was find out if there were any injured people inside. As we approached, one of the teachers informed us that all the children had barricaded themselves in the playroom on the second floor. They were scared, but safe for the moment. The only problem was that they couldn't get out. The main entrance was blocked by debris, and fire had cut off the emergency exit. The dragon watched our every move, and clearly wasn't going to let us pass easily.
We decided to split up. Labrador would distract the monster while I tried to get inside through a window. The dragon tilted its head as Labrador pulled out a megaphone and turned the siren to maximum volume. The loud noise made the creature flinch. It turned toward him and let out a deep, rumbling growl. At that moment, I ran to the window, pulled out a crowbar, and struck the glass with all my might.
The dragon saw me as a threat and suddenly spread its wings. I barely had time to jump back as it dove from the roof straight at me. The ground shook from the impact, and I rolled to the side. Meanwhile, Dobie was already climbing inside. I had to hold the monster's attention. If it brought the building down, it would be a disaster. I spotted a fire hydrant nearby and rushed toward it without hesitation. I needed to open it and try to spray the dragon with water.
Inside the building, it was unbearably hot. The walls were cracking, and the air was filled with the smell of smoke. The children huddled in a corner, trembling with fear. I promised them I'd get them out and told them to hold hands. We started making our way to the exit, but suddenly there was a loud creak. The ceiling beam collapsed, blocking our path. We needed to find another way out.
I struck the hydrant several times with my baton, and a powerful stream of water burst out. The dragon roared as the water hit its face. It recoiled, shaking its head, giving me a chance to regroup. I quickly scanned my surroundings, searching for a way to finally subdue it. Then an idea struck me. I could use the nearby construction cranes to trap the monster.
We found a passage leading to an old storage room. There was a back door, but it was jammed shut. The children huddled together in fear as I tried to break it open with my shoulder. The smoke was getting thicker, the air hotter. We were running out of time. I grabbed a metal pipe and used it as a lever. The door finally gave way and we rushed outside.
The dragon was taking to the air. This was our last chance. I sprinted toward the construction crane, jumped into the cabin and yanked the controls. A massive net filled with steel beams swayed in the air. The dragon soared upward, but I had timed it perfectly. I released the load right on top of it. The beams struck its wings, sending it crashing back to the ground. The beast roared, tangled in the net.
I saw the children running into the arms of their relieved parents, but the dragon was still dangerous. It thrashed, roared, and struggled against the net. At that moment, specialists from the Magical Creature Protection Agency arrived. They used special tranquilizer darts, and within minutes, the monster finally calmed down.
We stood there, catching our breath, watching as the specialists loaded the dragon onto a transport platform to take it to a sanctuary. The children were safe. The firefighters had put out the flames, and the teachers couldn't stop thanking us. Dobie and I exchanged a glance. Another case closed.
As everything settled down, I looked up at the sky where the dragon had once soared. This was one of the toughest challenges we had ever faced, but the most important thing was that no one got hurt. We had done our job. And now, I think it's time to head back to the station and finally finish those donuts I left behind before this crazy day began.
The day started as usual. Coffee, reports, and post-inspections. Everything was calm in the city of animals. Dobie and I were about to start our morning patrol when a raccoon named Timmy burst into the station. He looked frightened, his eyes darting around, and he was out of breath. He told us that his friend, the fox Rick, had disappeared. The last time anyone saw him, he was playing a new game, Poppy Playtime 4. Timmy swore he had seen Rick literally vanish into the screen. At first, we thought it was a joke or just childish fears, but then Timmy showed us his tablet. The game's loading screen was still glowing, and there, in the reflection of a store window inside the factory, was a silhouette. It looked just like Rick. I exchanged glances with Dobie. This all seemed impossible, but we couldn't ignore it. If the game was somehow pulling players inside, we needed to figure out why. We sat down in front of the screen. The title flickered, and then the words appeared. "Welcome to the Playtime Toy Factory. Enter your names to join." I typed in my name. Dobie did the same. The moment we pressed enter, the screen flashed, and darkness swallowed us.
When I opened my eyes, dim lighting surrounded us. We stood in a long corridor. Flickering lamps cast strange shadows on the walls. The air was stale, filled with dust and a strangely sweet scent, like old gummy candy. Labrador looked around. A poster on the wall read, "Welcome to Playtime Factory. Keep smiling." Below it stood a broken toy, a giant plush bear with an eerily wide grin. In the distance, we heard children's laughter. It was quiet, but it sent chills down my spine. We moved forward. The factory looked abandoned. Scattered toy parts lay on the floor, and the silence was only interrupted by the occasional creak of metal. Then we heard whispering.
The day started peacefully. Dobie and I were sipping our morning coffee at the station, getting ready for our usual patrol. The streets were quiet. The citizens were going about their daily routines, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But everything changed when the phone rang. On the other end, we heard the trembling voice of a kindergarten teacher from Happy Tales Daycare. She was gasping in terror, almost screaming. "The daycare has been taken over." A giant dinosaur broke through the entrance, roaring and not letting the children out. Then, the call was abruptly cut off. Dobie and I exchanged glances. No questions asked. We jumped into our patrol car and sped off toward the daycare at full speed. The day started as usual, with a strong cup of coffee and another morning briefing. I was going through reports when my radio suddenly blared with an urgent alarm. The dispatcher's voice was shaking. Something unimaginable had happened at the Rainbow Meadow Kindergarten. Eyewitnesses reported that the Sprunkies had suddenly appeared in the center of the building and were now holding it under siege. Inside were teachers and children. Dobie had just entered the station, holding a box of donuts in his paws. But as soon as he heard the call, he immediately set it aside. This was an emergency.
When we arrived at the scene, we were met with a sight straight out of a horror movie. The Sprunkies, eerie with elongated snouts, soulless eyes, and chaotic movements, filled the entire playground. They swayed back and forth, emitting strange sounds, and looked as if they were about to lunge at anyone who came too close. Panicked adults were running in all directions. Chaos had already engulfed the building, and we knew there was no time to waste.
The first thing we needed to do was find out if there were any injured people inside. As we approached, one of the teachers informed us that all the children had barricaded themselves in the playroom on the second floor. They were scared but safe for the moment. The only problem was that they couldn't get out. The main entrance was blocked by the Sprunkies, and fire had cut off the emergency exit. The creatures were watching our every move and clearly weren't going to let us through without a fight.
We decided to split up. Labrador would distract the monsters while I tried to get inside through a window. The Sprunkies tilted their heads as Labrador pulled out a megaphone and turned the siren to maximum volume. The loud noise made them flinch. They turned toward him and began twitching rapidly, their movements growing more erratic. At that moment, I ran to the window, pulled out a crowbar, and struck the glass with all my might.
The Sprunkies saw me as a threat, and one of them lunged forward, jerking and writhing strangely. I barely managed to jump back as it reached for me with its long arms. Meanwhile, Dobie was already climbing inside. I had to hold these monsters back, or they could break into the building. I spotted a fire hydrant nearby and rushed toward it without hesitation. I needed to open it and try to douse the Sprunkies with water.
Inside the building, the atmosphere was eerie. Faint rustling sounds filled the air, and the shadows of the Sprunkies flickered behind the windows. The children huddled in a corner, trembling with fear. I promised them I'd get them out and told them to hold hands. We started making our way to the exit, but suddenly there was a loud creak. A ceiling beam collapsed, blocking our path. We needed to find another way out.
I struck the hydrant several times with my baton, and a powerful stream of water burst out. The Sprunkies shrieked as their bodies twitched violently. They recoiled, as if the water was causing them pain. I quickly scanned my surroundings, searching for a way to finally subdue them. Then an idea struck me. I could use the nearby construction cranes to trap the monsters.
We found a passage leading to an old storage room. There was a back door, but it was jammed shut. The children huddled together in fear as I tried to break it open with my shoulder. The smoke was getting thicker, the air hotter. We were running out of time. I grabbed a metal pipe and used it as a lever. The door finally gave way and we rushed outside.
The Sprunkies started moving toward us, their motions becoming sharper and more erratic. This was our last chance. I sprinted toward the construction crane, jumped into the cabin, and yanked the controls. A massive net filled with steel beams swayed in the air. The Sprunkies moved chaotically, but I had timed it perfectly. I released the load right on top of them. The beams struck their elongated bodies, knocking them down.
I saw the children running into the arms of their relieved parents, but the Sprunkies were still moving, albeit slowly. They struggled to rise, their limbs writhing. At that moment, specialists in anomalous creatures arrived. They used a special energy field, and within minutes, the monsters froze in place.
We stood there, catching our breath, watching as the specialists loaded the Sprunkies into special containers to transport them to a laboratory for further study. The children were safe, the firefighters had put out the flames, and the teachers couldn't stop thanking us. Dobie and I exchanged a glance. Another case closed.
As everything settled down, I looked at the spot where the Sprunkies had stood just moments ago. This was one of the toughest challenges we had ever faced, but the most important thing was that no one got hurt. We had done our job. And now I think it's time to head back to the station and finally finish those donuts I left behind before this crazy day began.
But just as we were about to leave, the dispatcher came through again. Another call, another danger. It looked like our day was just getting started. As soon as we arrived at the station, it was clear. Something was seriously wrong. The lights flickered, strange scraping sounds echoed from deep within the tunnel, and passengers whispered nervously, casting uneasy glances into the darkness. The train hadn't moved, and the conductor wasn't responding.
We cautiously descended, illuminating our path with flashlights. An eerie silence filled the air, broken only by the distant dripping of water. As we approached the train, a long metallic creak rang out. The doors of the carriage slowly slid open, even though no one had touched them.
We stepped inside and immediately sensed we were not alone. The dim light from our flashlights revealed rusty seats, claw marks on the walls, and dark stains on the floor. Then, at the far end of the carriage, I saw movement. A jerking, unnatural silhouette, frozen between reality and nightmare.
It was them, the Sprunkies, but in a different form. Their bodies merged with the shadows, stretching into unnatural shapes. They hovered in the air, watching us without eyes, yet with an unmistakable awareness. At that moment, I realized running wasn't an option. We would have to fight again.
One of the Sprunkies moved forward, its figure twitching in sharp, unnatural jerks, like an old broken film. I pulled out my taser and fired at the approaching creature. The electric shock coursed through its body, making it waver, but it didn't disappear. We needed another way.
I spotted the control panel near the doors. If we could restart the system, maybe the emergency lighting would help us. But before I could reach it, one of the Sprunkies lunged at me, forcing me to retreat. Its long arms stretched toward me, and a rasping sound like a whisper escaped from its throat.
I grabbed a fire extinguisher near the door and sprayed a stream of gas directly at the Sprunkies. They hissed and recoiled. Apparently, carbon dioxide affected them just like water had before. Dobie took advantage of the moment and flipped the switch. A blinding light flooded the carriage, and the Sprunkies froze as if paralyzed.
They began to dissolve, fading into the air, leaving behind only the sharp scent of metal. We found the train conductor unconscious, but he was slowly coming to. We evacuated the passengers, and the specialists who arrived later detected strange interference in the metro's electrical system.
Hello, friends, it's me, Sheriff Labrador, and today we're taking on a series of challenges together with my friend Dobie.
Hey everyone! Yeah, just like Labrador said, we're playing a challenge map in Roblox. The mode is called Escape from the Dungeon.
Our first challenge is parkour on barrels over a huge lava pit. Dobie, are you ready?
Yes, Labrador, I'm ready. Phew, we made it through this challenge. Now we move on to the next one. We have to jump across wooden planks, but the most important thing is not to fall.
Dobie, how do you like this mode? I really enjoy it. The harder the challenges, the more I start loving this game.
I agree, Labrador. This map is amazing. Very well designed and detailed.
Let's move on to the next challenge. We have to run under giant spikes in time. If we don't make it, we lose.
Labrador, this is terrifying. One wrong step and it's game over.
Don't worry, Dobie. We'll get through it for sure.
We did it, Labrador, but we can't relax. There are even harder challenges ahead.
Now we're climbing up a ladder and entering a strange room filled with chests. We need to open them all and find the key to the door.
Oh, Labrador! We have to find the key to escape from this scary room.
I've opened so many chests, but still no key. Dobie, how about you?
Labrador, come here. I found the key.
Hooray, we're out!
On the next level, there are invisible traps under our feet. Labrador, we have to get through this level on our first try.
We're slowly making our way through, carefully jumping over the invisible traps.
Yes, we cleared this level on the first try. Teamwork makes anything possible.
Now we have to climb down giant wooden beams, but we can't fall. There's poisonous water below, and if we fall, we lose.
I agree, Labrador. We can't afford to lose now.
Dobie, we're so close to beating this level.
Yes, Labrador. We're almost there, and we did it. We're moving on to the next challenge. Let's grab the checkpoint. Up next is parkour on rocks, but if we fall, we'll get crushed and lose.
Oh no, Dobie, we fell. Is this the end?
Don't worry, Labrador. That's why we took the checkpoint. We have another chance.
Yes, we did it, and we're moving forward.
We finished the parkour, and a boulder pushed us straight into the next challenge.
Now we have to jump from rock to rock at super speed. Below us is a huge sea of acid. If we fall, we lose.
Phew, Labrador, we made it through this level.
Hello, friends. It's Sheriff Labrador here again with my tireless partner, Sheriff Dobie. Today, we've jumped into a totally crazy mode in Roblox called Shrink or Grow to complete the obby. This is going to be a real puzzle challenge. Hit the like button if you love obbies and comment below who you think will complete all the levels faster, me or Dobie.
Hey everyone! Oh guys, this isn't just any obby. Here, you don't just jump over obstacles, you also have to change sizes at the right time. In some sections, you need to shrink down to the size of an ant to crawl under barriers, while in others, you need to become a giant to leap over massive gaps. It seems like we're going to need all our agility and cleverness to make it through this obby.
It all starts with a small level where we learn how to change sizes. There are magic platforms that either shrink us or grow us. And right from the start, it's clear that this won't be easy. You need to time your jumps onto the platforms perfectly to get the right size and avoid falling into the abyss.
The backstory of this mode says that this obby was created by a great scientist who accidentally mixed magic potions and created a world where size doesn't matter. His lab was filled with experiments, and eventually the entire world turned into a maze with changing scales. Now we have to navigate through his creation to find a way out.
But be careful, friends. The mode is full of traps, disappearing platforms, moving blocks, and even spikes that pop up out of nowhere. And the hardest part is choosing the right size at the right time so you don't get stuck or fall. Imagine, you need to shrink to slip under a laser and then instantly grow to avoid falling from high platforms.
There are even sections where you have to switch sizes mid-air. For example, shrinking to slip through a narrow passage, then quickly growing to leap over a giant gap. It's like an acrobatic show, but with elements of magic and awesome obby challenges.
We can get help from special power-ups, speed boosts, double jumps, or temporary invisibility to get through the toughest sections. But you still have to find those power-ups, and they might be hidden in the most unexpected places, like under a platform that you can only see when you're mini-sized.
And of course, at the end of each level, there's a big final jump that you can only make if you choose the right sizes in the correct sequence. It's like a true test of speed, reaction, and logic. Guys, let us know in the comments which size you prefer, tiny or gigantic. And Dobie and I are setting off on our journey through this incredible obby. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our new adventures and escapes.
In some sections, you don't even need to grow larger. I just returned to my original size and easily got through it. Dobie, do you see this beautiful staircase we're walking on? It's painted in rainbow colors. Wow, it looks amazing.
Sheriff, look back. With each step you take, the staircase disappears. You're lucky you're moving fast enough to get through it. The best move here would be to grow bigger and start running as fast as possible, just like Sonic.
Oh, we've hit another staircase with waves. Let's grow larger here too and try to just jump over it. Guys, watch and remember these hacks. These Roblox modes really test your cleverness, and Dobie and I are super resourceful. We always find solutions to any tough challenges, right, Dobie?
That's right. Wow, this looks like a real water slide, just like in a water park, but without the water. By the way, I've often responded to calls at water parks. It's a place where anyone can easily get injured. We're not medics, of course, but we have to figure out how they got hurt. Who knows? There might be evil scientists or wizards at the water park. We're always on guard, keeping order.
Hey, have you noticed that with each level, the obby gets harder and harder? The traps activate faster, the platforms disappear quicker, and the gaps between them get wider. It's like the scientists set everything up specifically to confuse us. But we're not that easy to fool, right, Dobie?
Of course, we're real sheriffs. The key is to choose the right moments to change sizes. Labrador, it seems like something changes every time in this obby. I see some new paths that weren't there before. That means the further we go, the tougher it gets. But we're not giving up. The main thing is to keep our balance and remember to change sizes at the right time.
Dobie, did you see what happened to the town square? At first, I thought I was having vision problems or maybe I was just too tired. Imagine this. I'm walking downtown in the morning, and suddenly I see the statue in the square has grown to the size of a house. And just a little further, right across from the cafe, there's a tiny car, barely bigger than a toy. I couldn't believe my eyes. Was this really happening? Only later did I find out that it was all the work of an evil scientist. He invented a device that can enlarge or shrink anything.
Labrador, I was shocked too. When I saw that giant thing in the square, I thought it was some elaborate prank or a movie being filmed. But then, when I saw a giant mailbox fall right in the middle of the street, scaring all the passers-by, I realized something was really wrong. And the scariest part is that this scientist, Dr. Shrank, decided he could use his invention to establish a new order in the town. He enlarged everything he considered important and shrank everything else, as if he had the right to decide what the town needed and what it didn't.
Yeah, Shrank definitely got carried away with his device. He figured that if he made his invention known to the world, he could dictate terms, and the town would become his personal playground. At first, everything looked chaotic. Giant objects blocked the streets, tiny buildings got lost among huge bushes and benches, but when he enlarged the town hall tower so much that it blocked out the entire sky, that's when it became a real problem. We knew we had to do something fast, but it wasn't easy. Shrink's device was very powerful and compact. It could be anywhere.
Labrador, do you remember how we started searching for Shrink? We decided he must be hiding nearby to keep an eye on the results of his actions. We split up to search the area, and I found one of his hidden labs on the outskirts of town. It was full of all sorts of strange gadgets, and I almost stepped on one of his miniature robots that was patrolling the entrance. At first I thought it was just a toy, but then the robot started making alarm sounds, and I had to act fast to avoid causing a scene.
You did a great job, Dobie! While you were checking out the lab, I stumbled upon Shrank himself. He was busy checking the results of his latest experiment. He had shrunk the fountain in the park down to the size of a cup and was laughing like a madman. I decided to play it smart and started distracting him with conversation. I told him his invention was really impressive, but hinted that without his device, the town couldn't function normally. You should have seen his face. Shrank was beaming with pride. But as soon as I noticed that the device was on his belt, I knew this was our chance.
Labrador, you're a master at distraction. While you were talking to him, I managed to get closer and start deactivating his security systems. Those devices were set up to interfere with any attempt to get close to the main gadget. But luckily, I managed to bypass them using that miniature robot I had grabbed from his lab. And as soon as Shrank got distracted by your comment about the impact of his invention on the town, I made a dash and grabbed the device.
Yes, we defeated him there, but there was another situation related to this mode. It all started like an ordinary day. We were doing our usual patrol of the area when we suddenly noticed strange, shiny blocks appearing in the square, resembling those from computer games. I thought it was some new art installation or maybe an advertising stunt. But when I got closer and saw that the blocks looked like they were made of magical gold, I started to worry. Then we discovered that these were actual lucky blocks created by an evil wizard.
Labrador, it was incredible. At first, I thought you were joking when you said the blocks might be real. But as soon as I saw them up close, I realized they weren't just decorations. They had some kind of magical aura. As soon as we started investigating these blocks, something unexpected happened. One of them began to glow and emit strange sounds. We were lucky to be attentive. As soon as I touched one of the blocks, it opened up and a bunch of colorful sparks flew out. These sparks filled the air, and I knew we were in trouble.
Yes, and that was just the beginning. When we opened a few more blocks, it became clear that they weren't just decorative. Each block was somehow linked to the wizard's magic. One of them released actual fire elementals that immediately began wreaking havoc in our park. Another block triggered a snowstorm right in the middle of summer. We quickly realized that we needed to find a way to stop this magic and figure out how it all connected to the wizard.
Exactly. And you know what was the hardest part? Not just the blocks themselves, but the fact that they started attracting people's attention. Everyone began to gather around, and panic ensued. We tried to explain to people that these weren't just amusing toys, but a serious threat. Fortunately, we had a little time to figure out how to handle the situation. We decided we needed to find the wizard himself and figure out how to stop all these anomalies. But, as it turned out, he was aware of our interference.
Yes, the wizard was very clever. We started deciphering the note and realized that the wizard had left clues on how to neutralize the magic of the blocks. It turned out that each block was connected to a specific element: fire, water, earth, and air. To stop them, we needed to find special amulets that the wizard had hidden in various locations around the city. We managed to find all the amulets and stop the magic of the lucky blocks, and everything ended well. Thanks for watching and listening to this video, everyone. Goodbye for now.
I found 2 amulets, and Labrador found the other 2. It will be interesting to see what happens next. Stay tuned for the next video. Goodbye for now.
Save us! Guys, watch this video until the end. Like it, and leave a comment. and you'll save us. Hello, friends. Today, Dobie and I have found ourselves in a real predicament. We've been trapped by the evil Karen, who believes she's the only beautiful person on Earth. Her house is a fortress filled with traps and secrets. We have to work together to escape. Karen is so wealthy that her house is packed with all sorts of gadgets she uses to keep us captive.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Labrador is right. Karen is a real villain. Her beauty is deceptive. Behind it lies a cold heart. She trapped us and wants to keep us here forever to be the only beauty around. Her house is indeed luxurious, but the atmosphere is sinister. You can feel her presence in every corner. Everything around reminds us of her vanity and pursuit of perfection.
Every room in her house is a separate challenge. We have to work together to activate hidden mechanisms and platforms that allow us to move forward. Teamwork is essential here. I press a button and a path opens up for Dobie. Then he does the same for me. Step by step, we advance despite all the obstacles Karen throws at us.
This really requires complete synchronization and trust in each other. Only then can we overcome these challenges. In some places, the house feels like a maze where it's easy to get lost. But we won't give up because our goal is to escape and stop Karen. Her control over this place makes her even more dangerous. But I believe we can handle it together.
Moreover, Karen's house is filled with mirrors and reflections. She obviously adores her reflection and thinks it gives her more power. But we must not succumb to her influence. Instead, we use it as a clue to find hidden exits or keys. Every action she takes against us becomes a new opportunity for us to find a way out.
The rooms where she keeps her treasures and jewelry are particularly interesting. These halls look dazzling, but they hide the most dangerous traps. Karen doesn't want anyone to steal her jewels, so she has done everything to guard them. However, in these halls, we can also find important items that will help us escape. We need to be extremely careful and attentive.
We understand that at the end of this journey, we will face a final showdown with Karen herself. She will probably defend her kingdom to the last, but we have no choice but to fight. We know that defeating her is the only way to regain our freedom. Karen may be strong and cunning, but our friendship and unity give us the strength to move forward.
We hope for your support, friends. With each step, we get closer to freedom and victory over Karen. This path is not easy, but we believe we can overcome all the obstacles. Your faith in us helps us keep going. Don't forget to subscribe and like.
Recently, something completely unusual happened in our town. I guess I should start from the very beginning. One morning, Madame Karen, the most beautiful lady I had ever seen, came to visit us. She appeared in the square, and her dazzling beauty mesmerized everyone around. It seemed like no one could resist her charms. Soon, we noticed that people started acting strangely. They began bringing her jewels and the most delicious candies, as if they were under some kind of hypnosis.
It was truly incredible. Every day, we saw the townspeople lining up to give Madame Karen their most valuable possessions. Labrador and I immediately realized that something wasn't right. Madame Karen didn't just appear in our town for no reason. She was clearly using her beauty to manipulate the townspeople.
We began an investigation. At first, everything seemed too tangled. No one could explain why they were so eager to please Madame Karen. Professor Owl, our old friend and sage, advised us to pay attention to the behavior of the townspeople. She suggested that Madame Karen might have been using some sort of method to control them. We decided to keep a closer watch on her.
One night, we decided to follow Madame Karen. She lived in a large mansion on the outskirts of town. We sneaked inside and discovered that there was a huge mirror ball in her room. It was a device that emitted hypnotic waves, controlling the will of anyone who came under its influence. We realized that we needed to turn it off immediately.
We came up with a plan. I took on the task of distracting Madame Karen while Dobie disabled the device. At the moment she started suspecting something was wrong, I engaged her in conversation. It was difficult because her beauty could really drive anyone mad, but I knew I couldn't give in to her charms.
Meanwhile, I made my way to the mirror ball. Turning it off wasn't easy. It was protected by a complex system, but thanks to our skills and experience in situations like this, I found a weak spot. I quickly dismantled the mechanism and shut off the hypnotic waves. As soon as the ball stopped emitting waves, all the townspeople under Madame Karen's influence started coming to their senses.
Madame Karen lost her power. Without the hypnotic device, her charms no longer worked. The townspeople began to realize what had happened, and they were filled with gratitude for our intervention. We arrested Madame Karen and handed her over to justice. She could no longer harm anyone in our town.
This story taught us a lot. External beauty doesn't always reflect true intentions. It's important to always stay alert and not be swayed by first impressions. Labrador and I did everything we could to protect our town and its people, and in the end, justice prevailed. Now, our town is peaceful and calm again. Everyone has returned to their usual routines, and there is no longer any fear of someone manipulating us.
Ah, dear subscribers, something unexpected and, frankly, quite strange happened in our town. Let me start from the beginning. One fine day, we noticed that all the most beautiful boys and girls started gathering together. At first, it was just small groups, but then the situation started spiraling out of control. These young residents of the town, all possessing incredible beauty, suddenly began to unite. It was like magic. The more they came together, the stronger and more attractive they became. And when their powers reached their peak, from their union emerged none other than the boss of beauty. I can tell you, it was something truly out of the ordinary.
And it really became a problem. The boss of beauty wasn't just beautiful, he was huge, powerful, and as I discovered, not exactly friendly. This giant started destroying everything in his path. He walked through the town, and his shining image literally made everyone fall to their knees. Some people were forced to look at him in admiration. Others tried to find the strength to turn away, but no one could resist his attractiveness.
I can't help but mention that this was truly a nightmare. Everything we knew about dealing with criminals wasn't helping. This wasn't a regular threat. It was a true wonder of nature. The boss of beauty wasn't just destroying buildings. He was destroying the morals of the townspeople, making them forget about the important things in life and focus only on appearances. This was dangerous for everyone because we had no idea how to fight it.
So, we had to act fast. We started gathering information on what could stop this giant of beauty. I suggested using an old trick. Sometimes too much beauty becomes inconvenient. We turned to the wise residents of the town, those who weren't so dependent on appearances. In the end, it turned out that to defeat the boss of beauty, we just needed to make him see the real, unidealized picture of the world. We decided to carry out an operation that would shatter his illusion.
We started by asking some of our friends, who weren't as attractive, but were very smart, to use mirrors and other reflective surfaces. We set a trap so that his reflection would show him something he didn't want to see. Mirrors outside, combined with reflective surfaces inside buildings, began to create optical illusions. We created such a reflection that the boss of beauty himself started doubting his own strength.
And it worked! The boss of beauty began losing his confidence. The mirrors started showing him that his appearance wasn't everything, and that there were other important things in the town. By the time he realized he couldn't control his emotions through his beauty, we took the opportunity to weaken his power. We ripped control of the town from his hands and destroyed the magic of his attractiveness.
And so, thanks to our plan, the boss of beauty stopped destroying the town. We brought him back to reality, where not only external beauty matters, but also inner qualities. This was a lesson not only for him, but also for all the townspeople. Beauty is important, of course, but it doesn't solely define who you are. We saved the town, and people began to appreciate not just appearances, but the things that truly make them strong.
Yes, we won, but I'll tell you one thing. We also need to be careful with beauty. Sometimes it can cloud the mind, but only true values will help us stay on the right path. In the end, what matters is what's inside, and our town is once again as it should be, harmonious and happily balanced.
After we destroyed her mechanisms and broke all the traps, Karen activated her final defense. She transformed into a giant right in front of us. Her entire body became enormous, and her eyes burned with evil. We knew this was our final battle. But how could we defeat such a giant Karen?
We quickly noticed that there were weak spots on her body, glowing brightly. These were clearly her vulnerabilities. But to reach those spots, we needed to distract her. We immediately realized that we had an unconventional weapon, the poop that Karen absolutely hated. It was just like her own gifts to anyone who didn't please her.
Karen started losing her confidence more and more. We saw her strength fading, and with every hit she grew weaker. Eventually, she collapsed to the ground, unable to stand before us any longer. We defeated her, not with strength, but with persistence and teamwork. Thank you all for watching. We defeated Evil Karen. Hello, friends. Today, Dobby and I decided to test our skills in a new obby parkour in Roblox. This mode was designed especially for us. It looks incredible. All the obstacles are as bright as a rainbow, but it seems we're in for a serious challenge. Guys, give us a like right now if you think we can handle it.
Hi, everyone. Labrador isn't kidding. These rainbow platforms are stunning, but just try to stay on them. I already tripped on the first rainbow path, and it seemed to laugh at me. I hope we can get through all the levels without any losses. Labrador, are you ready?
Of course, I'm ready, Dobby. Although after the first jump, I felt like I was back in puppy school, trying to leap over puddles after the rain. But here, instead of puddles, there are entire oceans of colorful platforms. But honestly, it's so much fun that you forget how difficult it is.
I think I'm starting to understand why they made this mode for us, to test how we handle rainbow jumps. Labrador, did you see that narrow platform? It has already become my personal enemy. And these rainbow paths, they're like a rainbow ribbon, except you have to run on it instead of admiring it.
Yes, Dobby, this parkour isn't for the faint-hearted. It's funny how we, experienced sheriffs, are struggling with these rainbow stripes, but it sure lifts the spirits. Every time I manage not to fall, it feels like a small victory. Look, I finally jumped over that tricky rainbow.
Wow, Labrador, you're a real rainbow master, and I'm here trying not to slide off this spiral staircase. Well, friends, I hope you're enjoying watching us tackle these rainbow challenges. We won't stop until we reach the end.
And here we are again, almost at the end of this rainbow course. Friends, this is a real challenge for both of us, but it's so much more fun to go through all these obstacles together with you. I hope our falls and funny moments bring a smile to your face.
Absolutely! Every fall is an opportunity to start over and, of course, a reason to laugh. I just slid off this slippery rainbow path again, but I feel like I'm starting to become a real parkour master. Rainbow parkour has definitely become our new favorite game. What other Roblox maps would you like to see on our channel? Leave a comment and make sure to hit the like button.
Our Animal City has always been famous for its green parks and cozy streets, but one morning everything changed. I woke up to see that the rain had turned rainbow-colored. Everything around, from trees to cars, was painted in bright, shimmering colors. The water in the river became multicolored, and even the food in the stores took on rainbow hues. Our homes and buildings looked as if they had been painted with a magical brush. It was beautiful, but unnatural. Dobby and I realized that this was not just a natural phenomenon, but something more mysterious and possibly dangerous.
At first, we thought it was the work of some prankster or scientist like Professor Colorful, but it soon became clear that the reason was much more serious. We began our investigation and discovered that this was something new and unknown. We received reports from residents who had seen strange creatures resembling horned horses flying over the city. Then it became clear we were under attack by unicorns. These mythical creatures wanted to take over our city, and their power could change the entire environment.
As it turned out, the unicorns didn't just want to decorate our city. They wanted to transform it completely for their needs. We began looking for a way to communicate with them to understand their intentions and prevent a possible catastrophe. We found their leader, a majestic white unicorn named Astrid. He explained that their world was dying, and they were looking for a new place to live. They chose our city because it seemed perfect to them. But their methods were too aggressive, and this could destroy our way of life.
We realized we needed to find a compromise. We offered to help the unicorns find another place where they could live without destroying our city. Labrador suggested using the city's technology to create a safe and comfortable place for the unicorns. We worked together with city scientists and wizards to create a special sanctuary where the unicorns could live in peace and safety without harming others.
Our efforts were successful. We showed the unicorns the new place, specially created for them, where they could live happily. Astrid was impressed by our kindness and willingness to help. The unicorns agreed to leave our city and move to the new sanctuary. Gradually, the rainbow colors began to fade, and our city returned to its usual appearance. The unicorns, grateful for our understanding and assistance, promised to maintain peace and friendship with us.
So, we managed to prevent the takeover of our city and help creatures in need of a new home. This story taught us that peace and cooperation can solve even the most complex problems. The townspeople were happy to see the familiar colors return, and were proud that we had dealt with such an unusual threat. Our city became calm again, but we will always remember the Rainbow Day when unicorns attacked us.
Recently, a true champion arrived in our city, a leopard named Speed. He was known in the neighboring towns for his outstanding results in races and sprints. His arrival was a real sensation. In honor of this, we decided to hold a city competition to see who the fastest among us really is. Our streets were filled with excitement and anticipation, but the most determined one turned out not to be me, but Dobie. He was set on winning, despite his usually calm nature. Dobie was sure he could beat the leopard.
Of course, I couldn't pass up the chance to show my speed, but I knew that I couldn't just beat a champion like the leopard without something special to give me energy. At the store, I found some energy drinks and started drinking them. At first, it seemed like a simple way to get extra strength, but with each sip, I felt my energy increasing. I was filled with confidence that I could win.
Everything was ready for the start of the competition. We began with a light warm-up, and I noticed that Dobie started to look a little unusual. His eyes were sparkling, and his behavior became much more energetic. He was determined. But when the race started, no one expected him to run so fast. Dobie not only caught up with all the participants, but at one point, he almost matched the leopard's speed. And in the end, he overtook him. Everyone was in shock. Even I, the sheriff, who was always confident in our city, couldn't believe my eyes.
After the win, I felt incredible. My energy was at its peak, and I was so proud of myself. But after a few days, I began to notice that something wasn't right. My energy didn't fade, and I felt really anxious. I couldn't sleep and felt a lot of tension in my body. Then Labrador insisted I visit the doctor. We went to see a rabbit doctor who was an expert in such cases.
The rabbit doctor immediately examined Dobie and ran some tests. It turned out that excessive consumption of energy drinks had caused Dobie's body to stop functioning normally. He was on the verge of exhaustion. The doctor prescribed rest, a balanced diet, and plenty of water to bring him back to normal. Dobie was a bit embarrassed, but understood that it wasn't wise to overdo it with such things. In the end, everything turned out fine, and Dobie became his usual calm and balanced self again. But now he knows that victories aren't just about speed, but also about taking care of your body.
Now I know for sure that health is more important than any victory. I won the competition, but I had to learn from my mistakes. Thanks to Labrador and the rabbit doctor for their help. Next time, I'll train for the competition the right way, without any shortcuts, just using my own strength.
Recently, a strange and terrifying story unfolded in our city. It all began when a new ice cream vendor appeared. He was mysterious and a bit odd. His cart was decorated with bright flags, and he always wore a black suit with dark sunglasses. But something was off. The townspeople started noticing that after children bought ice cream from him, they would disappear. At first, it was just a one-time event, but soon several children went missing, and it became terrifying. Dobie and I immediately started an investigation.
At first, we thought the children might have just run away or gotten into trouble. But the more we kept an eye on the ice cream vendor, the clearer it became that something was wrong with him. We noticed that his van was always parked in the dark corners of the city, and his ice cream had a strange smell. People said it had some unusual flavor, but no one could quite figure out what it was. I decided to take action. Labrador and I went on a night patrol to find out what was really going on.
We tracked him down and found the van on the outskirts of the city. Inside was dark, and the ice cream vendor was standing, laughing, and preparing something behind the counter. As we got closer, we heard strange sounds, like children saying something from inside the van. It was way too suspicious. We decided to act quickly to prevent any more disappearances. Dobie, as always, was determined, and we prepared for a raid.
We brought everything we needed to make sure the ice cream vendor couldn't escape. The van was full of frozen ice creams, but in one corner, we found a large freezer. To our horror, inside we found the missing children. They were in a strange trance, sitting in dark corners as if under hypnosis. It turned out that the ice cream vendor was using a special type of ice cream that made the children succumb to his influence, causing them to disappear and become his hostages. We quickly freed the children and called for help.
And so our adventure comes to an end, friends. Dobby and I managed to do so many exciting things, but now it's time to say goodbye. It's been an awesome time, hasn't it? To all of you who followed our stories through fire, gunfire, and even alien encounters, tonight I need you to listen carefully. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't a typical case. It's not about criminals looking for money or spies chasing secrets. This is about the day something unforgivable happened in Animal Town. The day evil walked through the front door of our most innocent place. The day they took the children. It started like every other weekday morning. Parents in robes, sipping coffee on front steps, ushering sleepy cubs and pups into cars, school buses humming down the main road, laughter, whining, cereal stuck to little noses, the usual. I was making my third round near Mulberry and 3rd, nodding to Mrs. Mole as she crossed the street with her twin sons. Dobie was up north by the train station, overseeing the new security scanners we'd installed after the bank incident. Everything felt normal, routine, and sometimes, that's the most dangerous feeling of all. The call came in at 8:27. Dispatch didn't even finish the sentence. I heard the panic in their voice before the words hit my ear. Hostage situation. Location. Little Acorns Daycare. My blood went cold. I turned the sirens on before I even made the U-turn. The streets blurred. My mind raced. That place, it wasn't just another building. It was the heart of this town. A sanctuary for tiny paws and sleepy eyes. A second home. I'd read stories to those kids during safety week. Dobie once brought them cookies shaped like badges, and now someone had taken it. By the time I arrived, the perimeter was already chaos. Parents screamed behind the police tape. A mother collapsed in sobs. Officers scrambled for positions, not knowing what they were walking into. I spotted Dobie emerging from his cruiser across the street, already on his radio. His face was tight, controlled, but I could see the fire in his eyes. We regrouped behind a sanitation truck, the only cover big enough to shield us both from the line of sight through the daycare windows. He gave me the rundown. 4 individuals, masks, armed, no demands, no contact, just stormed the front door at opening time and barricaded the entrance. Teachers were able to hit the lockdown button. Most classrooms were sealed, but not all. 1 room, the ladybug room, 6 children, 1 teacher, trapped. I remember the feeling that settled over me then. It wasn't fear, it wasn't even rage. It was colder than both. It was clarity. The kind that comes when you realize there's no room for mistakes, no backup, no negotiations, just you, and the decision to protect what must never be harmed. I'll let Dobie tell you what came next, because he was the one who stepped through the side entrance first.
I don't usually talk about fear, not because I'm immune to it, but because when it shows up, you don't have time to talk. You move. But that morning, I felt fear settle into my bones like a shadow you can't shake. The moment I saw the surveillance feed, 6 little animals curled under desks, a trembling hedgehog teacher trying to keep them silent, I understood the depth of the threat. This wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. This was intentional, premeditated, cruel. We later learned these weren't your average thugs. They were extremists, a fringe cell that believed Animal Town's integration policies were impure. That diversity was a disease. They wanted to make a statement, and they chose the most vulnerable symbols we had. Children. But we didn't know that yet. All we knew was that there were 4 of them. 1 watching the front, another in the hallway, and 2 deeper in the building. The ladybug room was in the west wing, past 2 fire doors and a corridor of glass. No cameras in that area, no audio. We had 1 shot. I moved first. Labrador had drawn their attention at the front, staging a negotiation bluff, pacing visibly, talking into a megaphone, making noise. I slipped around the back, through the staff parking lot, into the kitchen entrance, my badge off, my vest stripped down to the essentials. No sound. I knew that building better than most. My niece went there. I'd picked her up from that very hallway a dozen times. As I moved past the storage closets, I heard them. Voices, tense, frantic. I stopped breathing. One of them was arguing with another. Something about time running out. I understood then. They didn't want ransom. They wanted a broadcast, to stream their message live. I reached the hallway junction. I saw the first one. He was pacing, nervous, weapon in hand, not alert enough. I dropped him in 5 seconds. Then the second came. Heard the noise, rushed in. We fought hand to paw in the corridor, crashing into lockers, the sound echoing like thunder. He was bigger, but rage makes you sloppy. Precision wins fights. I ended it quickly. 2 down. The third, a female, was in the ladybug room. She had the door blocked with a table. I peeked through the bottom of the hallway mirror. She was standing over the teacher, weapon drawn. The kids frozen. One of them, a bunny named Theo, was whispering something to the others, trying to keep them calm. I nearly broke then, but I waited, watched, timed the moment. She turned. I moved. What happened in that room lasted 13 seconds, but I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life. She didn't go down easy, but she didn't touch them. Not one, because I didn't let her. And the fourth, he fled. Out the front, right into Labrador's path. You can guess how that ended.
He bolted through the entrance like a wild thing. Mask half off, eyes wide, weapon raised. I didn't raise mine. I stepped in front of the children. They were pouring out from the other classrooms now. Teachers guiding them through emergency exits, hands clasped. The last thing I wanted them to see was more violence. So I walked forward, slowly, steadily. And when he saw me, when he saw who we were fighting for, he dropped the weapon. Dropped to his knees. He didn't say a word. Neither did I.
In the days that followed, the town held its breath. There were tears, rage, protests, investigations. But there was also unity, resolve, a fire lit beneath every parent, every teacher, every creature who believed that Animal Town stood for something more than just peace. It stood for protection. The Ladybug Room reopened a month later. Labrador and I were there. We stood in the back as the kids came in, now holding colored balloons, not fear. The teacher, Ms. Willow, had returned, stronger than ever. Theo ran up to me, held up a crayon drawing. It was me and Labrador standing in front of a red building with a rainbow over it. He said it was the safe place. We framed it. It hangs in the station to this day. Because no matter what comes, bank robbers, spies, aliens, or monsters in masks, we remember what we fight for. And we will never stop fighting. Not for safety, not for peace, and especially not for the children, not in our town. You'd think after something like that, after blood and terror inside a room full of stuffed toys and plastic crayons, that the worst would be over, that the evil had shown its face, been arrested, locked away, that the danger had passed. But evil doesn't always leave through the front door. Sometimes it lingers, it waits, and sometimes it grows in the silence. A few weeks after the attack on Little Acorns, we started noticing small things. A fire alarm pulled at the elementary school. False. A suspicious package left near the playground. Harmless. A drone flying too low over the nursery yard. Unregistered, but legally not enough to seize. Individually, annoying. Collectively, a pattern. I began a quiet investigation. No big announcements, no press, just me. A wall of photographs and a gut feeling. Because here's the truth. Predators rarely hunt alone, especially not the kind who go after children. No, these people were part of something bigger. And Labrador, he saw it too. He started talking to parents, gently, quietly, listening to things that didn't make it into reports. A fox dad said someone was watching the daycare drop-offs. A beaver mother got a threatening, anonymous email after defending us in a town meeting. A cat teacher found a USB drive on her windshield with photos from inside the school, taken through the windows. That's when we knew someone was still watching. They weren't finished.
He bolted through the entrance like a wild thing. Mask half off, eyes wide, weapon raised. I didn't raise mine. I stepped in front of the children. They were pouring out from the other classrooms now. Teachers guiding them through emergency exits, hands clasped. The last thing I wanted them to see was more violence. So I walked forward, slowly, steadily. And when he saw me, when he saw who we were fighting for, he dropped the weapon. Dropped to his knees. He didn't say a word. Neither did I.
We had two options. Wait for warrants or go in. We didn't wait. The place stank of mildew and secrets. The walls were covered with old protest posters, anti-government slogans, crude drawings of hybrid animals tagged with slurs. The main room was a digital spider's nest. 5 screens, all showing different locations. Schools, parks, playgrounds. One was zoomed in on the Little Acorn's front door. Another showed my niece at recess. That was it. We moved. They heard us. One tried to run. Labrador tackled him in the stairwell. The second drew a weapon, but I was faster. The third locked himself in the server room and tried to wipe the system. Failed. We got him out, got the drives, the backups, the logs. But what we saw, that changed everything. These weren't just extremists. They were part of an online syndicate, a group that hunted vulnerability, targeted peaceful towns. Their game was to terrorize, record reactions, grow followers through chaos. Animal Town was just season 1, but we ended the pilot.